And we're happy to be joined this morning by Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. Mr. Thompson, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Police there have called this a targeted, isolated attack. Are investigators looking for a particular suspect or suspects this morning?
At this point, the investigators are looking at all possibilities. They don't have a specific suspect. They're continuing to work on that.
Do you believe that whomever did this is still at large?
Yes, we have no one in custody, and the police have been unable to identify who's responsible for these homicides.
Is it possible there's more than one suspect?
It certainly is possible. That's the purpose of the investigation. That's why we're really hoping for any information from the public that can help the investigators recreate everyone's activities Saturday night and early Sunday morning, and hopefully give them the leads, the information to identify who did this.
There's so many things about this case that are so hard to put together. Veteran police officers who arrived at the scene said it was one of the most horrific and gruesome scenes that they had ever seen. Yet somehow there were two roommates who were in the house who apparently didn't hear anything. What are the red flags you have there, and are those roommates considered persons of interest?
Well, anybody who might have knowledge is considered persons of interest at this point. As far as suspects, I don't believe so. The investigators continue to work hard trying to interview everyone who might have any information and hopefully figure out and identify what occurred and why and who's responsible.
As we understand the timeline, and we recognize that this is an investigation very much ongoing, the four came home, you know, early in the morning, Sunday morning, let's say 1:45, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. The 911 call didn't come until midday the next day. Does that raise any red flags for you? How do you explain that?
I think the investigators are trying to ascertain why there was a delay and what actually occurred, what was heard. That's a question that's still out there, and I know they're working on that. We're trying to assist them as much as possible with obtaining search warrants for data and cell records and social media and anything that might help.
Do you know who called 911? Can you reveal who reported this?
I can't reveal who made the 911 call. The police do know who made the 911 call, though.
Obviously, we don't know anything about motive, but the mayor did initially refer to this crime as a crime of passion. Why did he say that?
I can't speak for Mayor Betke. To my knowledge, there is nothing to indicate that this has been determined to be a crime of passion. We know it's just a horrible crime, and 4 young lives have been lost.
And finally, you know, initially, investigators and the police had said the community has nothing to worry about. Now they've sort of said, well, of course we should be vigilant because there is a suspect or suspects still at large. What is your message to that community this morning?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is that whoever is responsible for these murders is still at large. The investigators do not know who that person is. From what they've told my office, they believe that this was what they call a targeted attack and not just a random act of violence. And I think they tried to communicate that, but obviously that communication didn't work very well. It's unfortunate for any confusion in the community. People just need to be vigilant and help us however they can. We hope that we can identify who's responsible and get them off the streets as soon as we can.
The drugs was a big one. He addressed that. Listen to what he told me.
Could drugs be involved in all of this?
I have not heard that there's any suspicion that drugs played a role in the killings.
So not like a drug deal gone bad or something like that?
I am not aware of anything like that, no.
Nothing is normal right now in the small town of Moscow, Idaho.
You can feel it, and it's understandable. It's understandable. It's a scary time. It's a horrible thing that happened this past weekend.
Last week marked Bill Thompson's 30th anniversary as prosecutor here. He's led the fight for justice in other high-profile cases. But he admits nothing like this. The gruesome murders of 4 college students, and now 5 days without a suspect.
Moscow Police Department with the state police and the FBI have brought in probably more resources than I've ever seen in an investigation in 30 years here in Latah County to try to answer those questions.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they find the answer soon.
That hope felt across this community and across the Pacific Northwest. And because of a lack of information released early on, investigators are also dealing with a barrage of misinformation spreading online. The bottom line for the man whose job it will be to prosecute the killer?
We don't know who's responsible for this. We don't know why it happened. And whoever is responsible is out there somewhere.
Filling the void of information has led to accusations against innocent people online and further victimization of 4 grieving families and countless friends. So why not just fill in the gaps? Thompson says investigators have a very specific reason for not doing so.
It's likely that the details of what they've learned is not something they are prepared to share publicly at this point, because they don't want that information to get out there in the public where only the suspects or somebody who was involved would otherwise know about it.
Tonight, we know for sure the victims were killed with a large knife, that investigators have even left the state to interview people who may have been in contact with the victims, and that investigators don't know who did this or why. He stressed the importance of what happened in the hours between the likely time of the murders and the time someone called 911.
Everything that occurred leading up to the time of death, and then from the time of death till the officers were notified or the report was made, is crucial information.
So many questions and so few answers. Thompson says it will get harder in the days to come, and that this community will never be the same.
We will never forget what happened, but Moscow is a good, resilient town. So yes, I have every faith that our community will return to something more normal. But this is always going to be part of our history.